Chapter 1 Introduction to Buddhist Concept of Blessing. The concept of blessing in Buddhism is different from many other religions. For example, in the Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the concept involves asking for blessing from God, the Creator. For them, blessings are necessarily associated with God, and blessings come from God. To be blessed means to receive a favor from God. In many of them, blessings are conveyed by a clergy who acts as a mediator. Hinduism also has ceremonies such as puja, in which a devotee makes an offering of a material substance such as flowers, fruits, and sweets to a deity, and in return receives blessing from the deity. What is similar among those beliefs is that they believe that God is the source of all blessings. The opposite of blessing is, in formal sense, understood to be a curse. Buddhism believes in no God, and therefore the concept of blessing is necessarily different. According to Buddhism, blessing does not come from anywhere, but from one's own wholesome efforts. The Mangala Sutta, the discourse on blessing, illustrates this fundamental point. Buddhist monks are not mediators. When they recite some discourse of the Buddha, such as the Mangala Sutta, on special occasions, for instance a birthday, it is to help devotees focus their minds on how to create blessing for themselves, which is believed to subsequently bring protection parita to the devotees. This is how the concept of protection and blessing come from one's own action. How did the Buddha deal with the question of blessing? In his important work, Life's Highest Blessings, Dr. R.L. Soni says that, I quote, "In Indian society in the Buddha's time, as in our own, people were addicted to superstitions about omens of good and bad luck, besides being divided on their nature and implications." End quote. On this point, Bhikkhu Khandipalu also comments that, I quote, "In all countries and times, there have been superstitions about these things, and this is as true of Western technological societies, the increasing dependence upon astrology, as it was of India in the Buddha's day. In Australia, in the showbiz world, to whistle in the dressing room before putting on an act will bring misfortune, which can only be averted by leaving the room, turning around 3 times and swearing." Another generally unlucky sign is for a black cat to cross one's path. In Nepal, however, they consider an overturned shoe to be very inauspicious when one is setting out on a journey. And sailors, the world over, are well known for their attachment to good signs and dread of ill omens. Less specialized examples can be found in crossing one's fingers and in touching the wood, against disaster, and in the practice of throwing salt over the left shoulder, that is, into the devil's eye, whenever salt is split and cut. The number 13 is considered to be an unlucky number by many. Some people trying to avoid bad luck by keeping away from anything number 13. Hence, the hotel and tall buildings avoid labeling the 13th floor as 13. Some say that this urban legend is traced to Jesus Christ's Last Supper, when there were 13 people around the table, counting Jesus plus his 12 apostles. I am told in Sweden, if you see a pregnant woman, that is considered auspicious, meaning a good omen and blessing. However, the Thai people, who are also known as Shan, believe just the opposite. They consider seeing a pregnant woman to be a bad omen for the task at hand. Some of them believe that seeing a pregnant woman ruins the sacredness or an opportunity for success of the work they do. My mother told me in 1986 in Laika, my hometown, in Shan State, that when she was pregnant with me, whenever she went into the market, people would behave as if it was inauspicious and turn their backs on her. Here we all know that the Buddha asked one of his disciples, Angulimala, to go and bless a pregnant woman, contradictory to the belief among the Thai people. The Buddha himself also went to bless the newborn baby, who would later become Arhat Sivali, famous for good fortune. The introduction to the Mangala Sutta, that is the Pali version, inserted after the Buddha passed away, says that for 12 years, people debate intensely what blessings are. On seeing a sign detail, or on hearing a sound sutta, the people interpreted them either as a lucky omen, Mangala, or a bad omen, Amangala. People were preoccupied with what we may call phobia today, and were gripped with fear and anxiety. So as Dr. Soni points out, I quote, it was natural that someone would inquire the views of the great teacher, the Buddha, on the subject. His words of wisdom had already been an immense success, not only with ordinary people, but also with those in position of power and those with great learning. The views expressed by the Lord in the Mangala Sutta are a masterpiece of practical wisdom. End quote. Without directly answering what are the good and bad signs to be regarded as blessing Mangala, the Buddha participated in the debate through this Mangala Sutta. The teachings from this sutta is well known, not just to monastic students, but also to the public in all Theravada countries. In Sri Lanka, every Buddhist child learns it by heart at school. In Thailand, a learned monk from Chiang Mai even wrote a Pali commentary on the Mangala Sutta in the 16th century. This text, the Mangala Dipani, is so important to Pali students in Thailand today that it forms part of their formal curriculum. It is the only Pali text composed in Thailand which has spread to Myanmar, where there seems to have been an equally voluminous text, also with same name, Mangala Dipani, but composed in Burmese. by Mangala Bonjo Seattle at the court of Amarapura in the mid-19th century. In the Union of Myanmar, the Mangala Sutta has formed a part of the syllabus for centuries in monastic training. In short, the popularity of the Mangala Sutta has long been established in those countries. Self-reliance and self-dependence. The principle of the whole teaching of the Buddha is self-reliance. We have to depend on ourselves to make good of our life and the opportunity it presents. Hence, the title of this book is called Blessing You Can DIY. Blessing, you can do it yourself. Accordingly, the idea of blessings with a role for a mediator is ruled out in Buddhism. This underlines the difference between the concept of blessing in Buddhism and other beliefs. We should approach the subject of blessing first and foremost with the attitude of self-dependence. Then the mind will not be confused or disturbed by superstitions. In other words, the Buddha's main point in the Mangala Sutta is that blessing comes from our own efforts, and those efforts have many dimensions: educational, social, economic, psychological, and spiritual. The Mangala Sutta describes the kinds of effort we should make in order to be blessed in life and in the very here and now. They range from good friends to favorable locations, good education to proper job training, improving personality to engaging in the philosophy of life, and liberation from suffering. Here, I couldn't do better except to quote Dr. Soni again. He says, I quote, "The discourse is a charter in outline of family responsibility, social obligations, moral purification, spiritual cultivation, within the compass of a dozen stanzas are included profound counsels and golden rules which admirably point out the way life's journey should go if it is to reach the haven of perfect harmony, love, peace, and security." Beginning with emphasis on the need for a suitable environment, the discourse lays appropriate stress on personal discipline, righteous conduct, and adequate discharge of duties to one's near and dear one. Then the higher virtues of humility, gratitude, patience, and chastity are introduced, and step by step are reached serenity, possession of truth, and enlightenment. End quote. How many blessings? Based on a stanza in the introduction which, as we have mentioned, was added to the original text after the Buddha. We say there are 38 mangalas. However, the Buddha himself did not put on a number how many mangalas or blessings there are. Instead, he just referred to the following blessings in the last stanza as, I quote, "such as those blessings Eta Disani," end quote. So theoretically and practically there can be and there are more blessings for us, more than 38. However, for the sake of convenience, let's say there are 38 kinds of blessings, and we will conduct our discussion on this basis. Synthesis of the Mangala Sutta. Let's summarize the wisdom of some of the scholars who have deeply studied this Mangala Sutta before. A learned Mahatera from Thailand, Pratham Visuddhi Kavi, who also known as Prat Maha Pichit Chitta Vanno with a Pali degree of grade 9 and a master degree. Summarizes all the 38 blessings into 3 stages. Stage 1, building a life of blessing. By this, he refers to blessing number 1 to number 18. Stage 2, development of the mind. By this, he refers to blessing number 19 and 30, 19 to 30. And finally, stage 3, practicing with a view to end suffering. That is blessing from number 31 to the end, number 38. Similarly, Samsak Nariwong, a Thai scholar from Britain, groups the 38 blessings into 3 categories. The first category, creating value in life. With this, he refers to blessings number 1 to number 17. Category 2, modifying one's own mind. This is about blessing number 18 to 30. And the last category, category number 3, the direct path to nirvana. This is blessing from number 31 to 38. Thai scholars differ from other scholars in Sri Lanka and Myanmar in that they count support for wife and children, Buddha Dharasa Sangho, separately as 2 blessings, and consider 2 blessings, namely to abhor or to loathe evil and to avoid evil, Ardiviri Baba, together as one. In the 20th century Myanmar, there was a scholar by the name of Mingla Upadan who did so much to popularize the Mangala Sutta among the populace in his country, to the extent that the word Mangala, pronounced as Mingla in Burmese, came to be his honorary prefix. So he is known as Mingala Upadan. He says that the whole 38 blessings can be generally categorized into 3 Buddhist training, namely moral ethics, sila, meditation, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. The blessing number 1 to 21 belong to moral ethics, sila. Number 22 to 30 to meditation, samadhi. While the last 8 to wisdom. He seemed to take not only moral ethics, sila, consisting originally of right action, right speech, and right livelihood, but meditation and wisdom in their broad definition, broad spectrum. Mingla Upadan essentially reads the whole Mangala Sutta through the scheme of the Noble Eightfold Path. Dr. R.L. Soni also synthesizes the 38 blessings into 3 phases, but from a different angle. With the simile of building a house, residing in it, and then leaving it for a temple. In the first phase, the blessing number 1 to number 10 are considered as preparation for both worldly and spiritual success, that is, to build a house. In phase 2, blessing number 11 to 26 are considered as wayfaring the world, which is likened to residing in the house that has been built. And finally, in phase 3, blessings number 27 to 38 are considered as spiritual growth, which is about leaving home for a temple. Dr. Soni expands his analysis by saying that the first phase, preparation stage, which is like building a house, covers A. Material for foundation of life's building. And this refer to blessing number 1 to 5. And B. The necessary plan for the construction work. That is blessing number 6. And C. Completing the structure of a house. Compared to life here. The second stage, wayfaring of the world, which is comparable to occupying the house which has been constructed, covers A. Proper discharge of domestic duties and social obligations. And this refer to blessing number 11 to 17. B. A matter of personal conduct. And this it refers to blessing number 18 to 20. C. Conserving the progress hitherto achieved through the practice of all the 20 manglas as mentioned so far. By this he specifically refers to blessing number 21. And D. Cultivation of the higher virtues which are absolutely essential for venturing into the cultivation of the Dhamma's highest aspects. By this, he refers to blessing from number 22 to 26. The third and last phase is like moving from a house to a temple to follow an intense religious way of life, and is called the state of spiritual growth. He explained further. The blessing number 27 and 28 lead to ability in the practice of the spiritual life. And the next two blessings, blessing number 29 and 30, put one in contact with those leading a religious life. While the next four blessings, from number 31 to 34, open the gates of the realization of the Dhamma. And the last four mantras, that is from number 35 to 38, constitute the great awakening which transforms the temple into a lighthouse for humanity. Another author, T.Y. Lee, which puts his writing on the Mangala, a live blessing, on a website, www.justbegood.net. This author Lee, however, categorizes the blessing into 5. In category 1 is the essential blessings, what he called them, essential blessings. This is from number 1 to number 6. Second category is supporting blessings. That's number 7 to 13. The next is personal blessings. That's from number 14 to 21. Another category is higher blessings. By this, he means blessing number 22 to 30. And last, supreme blessings. This is blessing number 31 to 38. Mr. Lee sees the sutta as a very detailed guide for individual development and a gradual path. He further comments that the sutta, I quote, sets out a logical and well-structured sequence such that each group of blessings helps to lay the foundation for further blessings. it includes the most basic blessings or qualities each person should have and leads to the higher qualities gradually required to attain the ultimate blessing of Nibbana. End quote. I'm entirely in agreement with the above scholars that the Mangala Sutta is logically structured as a gradual path. However, I wish to emphasize one thing here, that the earlier qualities or blessings are retained and indeed made advanced further through the qualities of blessing that one continues to acquire. Let me explain this. The blessing number 1 and 2, not to associate with the food but to associate with the wise, are taught when one is young. And these blessings should be definitely retained throughout one's life. The Buddha is said, therefore, to have told Venerable Ananda, his personal secretary, that a good friend is crucial to make progress in the practice of Noble Eightfold Path. And those first two qualities, the first two blessings, become more and more advanced as one starts acquiring other blessings. For instance, when one has learned to be grateful, gratitude is blessing number 25, and to be patient, patient is blessing number 27, and is engaged in the Dhamma dialogue. This is blessing number 30. Then the quality of the first two blessings, not to associate with the food but with the wise, increases, and one's selection of friends and company will be more conducive to peace and realization of the Four Truths. Indeed, the first two blessings will only remain strong when further blessings such as abstaining from evil, blessing number 18 and 19, and humbleness, that is blessing number 23, come into existence to strengthen them. So the 38 blessings are interdependent and complementary. It's just like the symbolic wheel of the Noble Eightfold Path. The exposed depend on each other. So are the 38 blessings. It's precisely for this reason that I wish to reflect on the Mangala Sutta from the viewpoint of the Satipatthana meditation practice, drawing some of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path to highlight this important sutta. Before that though, I wish to say briefly about the way I think we can also synthesize the 38 blessings. I'm going to go by the number of stanzas instead of number of blessings. The first two stanzas may start as home education, providing foundation of life, and are valid throughout our life. Following the Jaka Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, the famous Thai scholar monk P.A. Payutto groups these two stanzas, the first two stanzas, into 4 blessings instead of 6. Although, if we count them traditionally, there are 6 blessings in those 2 stanzas. And Venerable Payutto calls them the foundation for a successful life. It may be worth quoting the Jaka Sutta directly here. The translation is from Thanisara Bhikkhus, which he made available on the net. The Jaka Sutta, I quote, "If you dwell in a civilized place, make friends with the noble ones, rightly direct yourself, and have made merit in the past. There will roll to you crops, wealth, status, honor, and happiness." End quote. Stanza number 3 roughly deals with formal education as we understand it today. Both of the stanza numbers 4 and 5 teach social obligations and social ethics. Stanza number 6 deal with moral ethics and self-control. The next two stanzas, number 7 and number 8, discuss about psychological development that has much bearing on one's success or failure in both social and religious life. Stanza number 9 offers the intensive practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. The last stanza is the benefits of the previous blessings. In other words, my own understanding of the Mangala Sutta is summarized in the diagram on page 59. A diagram is provided here in order to illustrate that all these blessings, they come together, they work together, they're interdependent and complementary. Like bits and pieces of a house depend on each other in order to make a house. In the diagram, stanza number 1 and 2 are considered to be foundation. This is also shared by most of the scholars I have mentioned earlier. The first foundation is knowing human environment. That's about good and bad friend. Another layer of foundation is suitable location. And another layer of foundation still is preparation for prior karmic investment. The last piece of foundation is setting oneself on the right course. With 4 foundations laid down, strengthened properly, solid, then I imagine there are 5 big columns. In terms of stanza number 3 is one column, number 4 is another one, number 5 is another one, number 6 another one, and number 7 and 8 another one. 2 stanzas, 7 and 8, they make one column. Stanza number 3 is about education or knowledge development. That's one column in a house. Stanza number 4 is about building a peaceful and harmonious family. That's another column. Stanza number 5 talks about social responsibility, social ethics. That's another column. And stanza number 6, yet another column, is about ethical and moral development. And the last big column is from stanza number 7 and number 8. That is about personality development. Five big columns. Of course, in each column, you can divide and you can see there are many other columns. If you take blessings in each stanza separately. So up to stanza number 8, we have got foundation and columns. Now there are three beams to connect the columns and to strengthen them. That is blessing number 21, mindfulness. Above that, another beam is restraint. That's blessing 31. And the highest beam is holy practices. It's blessing 32. After that, you can see there are 2 layers of roof. That is seeing the Four Noble Truths and realization of Nirvana. Blessing number 33 and 34 respectively. Or you can say these 2 are the 2 wings of roof. So altogether 34 blessings. You have built a house, and this house has 4 features. The first feature is solidity, is solid. Second feature is that it is very pleasant, carefree. And the third characteristic is clean, highly hygienic. And the last feature is safe, secure. So being solid, carefree, clean and safe, these are the features of the house. How you sell the house. The house which has these features. And if you go to the plan, the floor plan, as I have explained, you have foundation, you have beams, columns, roofs. With those blessings in the columns, you can build as many floors as you like. This is an integral approach with all the first 34 factors of blessing, demonstrating then that they are interdependent. The Mangala Sutta is a blueprint for a fruitful and worthy life. Indeed, all the teachings of the Buddha found in other suttas, in the Buddhist scriptures, can be reflected in the context of this very important sutta.